In the back of my head, it was like, oh, all these people are waiting to hear from you. Like, what do you do? When are you gonna plan to respond to them? It was just this like, almost like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It's like, do this, no, don't do that. Do this, don't do that. Like trying to like optimize pleasure and rest is a really bizarre thing. I was like, okay, I need to like rest, but like I need to know what I'm doing in order to rest. Like I need to have an activity to rest. It's like, no, I can just rest and just exist. Welcome back to Success Fully, where we have honest conversations about creating a life that feels expansive and true to you. If you're new here, I'm Catherine. I spent 6 years building and selling a company, and I'm here with my coach Ariana, and we're having conversations about how to create success on the outside and fulfillment on the inside. We just posted our first episode, and I received a lot of messages from you guys about how you saw yourself in the striving, the anxiety behind the scenes, and striving for an achievement that once you hit it didn't actually feel the way that you expected it to feel. It didn't feel as fulfilling as you wanted it to feel. I read all of your messages, and today's conversation comes directly from what you shared. So on Wednesday morning, when I went to go post the podcast episode, I felt scared. It was a big moment for me to be so vulnerable and to really expose a lot of things that was hard for me to admit to myself, much less tell friends, much less post about it to everyone I've ever had any professional interactions with and beyond. And even after I posted it, I felt kind of clammy, but I started receiving all of these messages that helped me just feel so empowered to share this message because you saw yourself in my vulnerability, and that was a real connecting force. And you guys reached out to me saying, I didn't think that anyone else felt this way. Like I thought it was just me. And I was moved to tears, and a few friends called me, and I almost didn't pick up because I was like, this is a lot right now, but I picked up and they were there for me, and it was really beautiful. And I was going about my day feeling really excited about it. And all of a sudden, instead of feeling that beauty, my body started to feel heavy and uneasy and achy. And granted, I didn't sleep that much the night before, but I really felt so uncomfortable. Like my body just was buzzing and it was achy and uncomfortable. And I had a moment where I thought, if I sit and respond to all the messages that are coming in and will continue to come in, it would take me all day. And I would just be in my robe, in my lounge chair, in my apartment all day, wouldn't see the light of day. And in another moment of my life, I would have done that. I would have overridden my body's signals and just done that. But in this case, I said, no, I'm gonna put on clothes and go to the park and call my parents. And I did that, and that was beautiful. And then I got back home and I was still kind of feeling like, oh, and so I actually was able to nap, which I'm really proud of myself for, because in another moment of my life, I would have just been high on the dopamine and I wouldn't have been able to actually let myself soften and relax and not be hypervigilant and not be like, okay, I must respond perfectly. Every person needs a really thoughtful answer. I want everyone to feel seen. It's a positive intention, but if it's coming at the cost of me thinking about what my body needs and giving my body what it needs, then that's not the way that I want to approach life, which is actually so ironic because my whole podcast episode was talking about trusting myself and not putting others' needs above my own and like really treating myself with self-compassion and kindness and respect. And here I was like almost about to repeat the same patterns again. And so I woke up from my nap and I was feeling better, but still kind of uneasy. And so I say, okay, I'm going to get some movement. So I go to the gym. I get to the gym and my body is just so uncomfortable. Like I'm telling you, like the whole body just felt buzzy and annoyed. And so instead of forcing myself to exercise, I laid down on this bench that I've never seen anyone sit on. And I just like fully like splayed and I had my hands above my head and I just like laid and I breathed. And I laid and I breathed. And there was no expectation or pressure for myself to force a workout. I told myself, I'm just gonna put my phone away. I realized that I had plans for the afternoon. I canceled them. And I just allowed myself to flow moment to moment. Even though in the back of my head, it was like, oh, all these people are waiting to hear from you. Like, what do you do? When are you gonna plan to respond to them? It was just this like, almost like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It's like, do this, no, don't do that. Do this, don't do that. Like trying to like Optimize pleasure and rest is a really bizarre thing, but that's like what I experienced. I was like, okay, I need to like rest, but like I need to know what I'm doing in order to rest. Like I need to have an activity to rest. It's like, no, I can just rest and just exist.
Okay, Catherine, again, it's a pleasure that you are here sharing all this experience because even though I feel like even right now that you are sharing the behind the scene, it's also really powerful because you see, you are sharing something that is very normal for us. That we think sometimes, I always say this, we suffer more for what we imagine than what it actually happens. She was thinking in the back of her mind, oh, everybody gonna get pissed with me if I don't answer them so fast. And she was getting again trapped into the same pattern, different situation. And this is life. Life is a game. We're going to go back into the same patterns as many times as it is required for us till you reach the day that Catherine is going to share us today in this podcast. That is the day that she became aware that that identity that maybe serves so well in the past now is not the one that she wants to empower, right? Because she became aware that she's building up a new timeline, and it's a timeline where she's listening to herself, listening to her needs, and knowing that the best way to help others is by helping yourself first. And this is not from your ego, this is not something selfish, this is becoming aware of how important it is to take care of your energy if you want to give others the very best of yourself. So, thank you again, Catherine, for sharing all these experiences. And yeah, I would love to make you a question that actually came up on this little conversation that we just have. That is how you became aware. I mean, how you become aware. When is the time, the perfect timing for you to go beyond an identity that actually serves you for so long and it serves you well in the past? How you became aware that, you know what? At this moment, I realize that this identity is not serving me anymore. It's no longer needed here. How you can share this experience with the audience so they can relate it with us?
The identity that I had before served me really well. Like it got me to where I wanted to go and it helped me succeed. It helped me adapt. It helped me to navigate a lot of really difficult situations professionally, personally, but it was always on and it was always over functioning. And so there came a time where it felt like forcing. Like I was acutely aware that it just felt like performing. Like it didn't feel like me anymore. And I didn't feel like congruent with myself when I was doing the things that was in line with that identity. Like for example, in another moment of my life, the feeling that I had at the gym, I would have forced myself to do a workout. I would have forced myself to respond to messages before I was ready because I would tell myself that like a disciplined person would push through. But in reality, discipline at the cost of listening to my body's signals is not discipline at all. It's just like self-abandonment. And it was really hard for myself to be honest with myself about that. I knew that something was off and I didn't feel like I was being in alignment with my identity, but I didn't know like what was going on. Like I wasn't putting two and two together yet. And so it was difficult for myself to even like take the next step because I wasn't being honest with myself that I wasn't being in integrity with myself, if that makes sense. Like the way that I was acting and pushing and forcing was in line with the old identity, but I didn't know any different. And so I was feeling uncomfortable. But it was only until I had that turning point did I then be like, oh, like both can be true. Like I can love all these other people, but I can also love myself. I can choose both. But I need to be true to myself and I need to prioritize myself and my own body's needs.
That is very powerful, actually, Catherine, that you are sharing this because I feel like most of the time we all fall into this big mistake of thinking like, oh no, I need to run to answer not only our friends or family messages, but also sometimes our clients. We feel like we must answer the message right in the moment after we receive it. And sometimes, just to allow yourself to make that pause, that little pause before you answer back, gives you perspective, allows you to understand from what identity you're going to answer that message. It allows you to choose how to act instead of reacting. So, becoming aware that the best way that you can answer back someone, or becoming aware that the best way that you can be for others, is to always creating this little pause for yourself to tune into literally the frequency of the person that you are becoming, the person that represents the most of this beautiful and best version that you are always talking about, that you want to become. And as I always said, it's not even about becoming someone, it's becoming aware of how you can act from now on with whatever you are doing right now, how you can act as if you are already that person, right? That I feel like this is the most important shift that we can do. It's like I feel like most of the time we are waiting for the moment that we become somebody else, and actually that moment is here right now. All the decisions, all the actions that you are taking here right now are like literally defining your future. So it's very important that you share this and the way that you perceive it, because it helps all of us to become aware that I think that most of us, we make the same mistake, that we are running and trying to answer everything fast, and sometimes it's not the best, right? If you want to be in the better way for your people, maybe it's a good choice to make a pause, take your time, and just be back and answer with presence and with attention.
Ooh, I really love what you just said. It reminds me of, you shared Neville Goddard with me, and every morning for the last, actually every day for the last month, I've been listening to Neville Goddard on YouTube, and I've been set an alarm on my phone for every 2 hours to remind myself, do I know that my future self is here? Do I know that all my dreams are coming true, have already come true, and it's already done? Am I in the knowing that that is the path that I'm on, and there's no separation between me and her? And the first thing that I do when I wake up is know that and remember that. And if I don't remember, then I shift back and recall back, am I in that? And then before going to bed, that's what I do too, because it is so important to choose the identity that we are living from, acting from, thinking from, feeling from. And yeah, that's how I've been living my reality over the last month, and it's made all the difference. So one of you sent me a beautiful, thoughtful message about why is it that we don't take the off-ramp? This is another CEO who has been going through a similar journey but hasn't talked about it publicly. And it's just, we are such high achieving people. We want to build, and we have been building meaningful things. And yet we're just on this hamster wheel where it's unclear, like, are we doing this for us anymore? Are we doing this like to be of service to society? Or are we doing it to fill some need, or with this illusion that it's going to create lasting fulfillment and joy and happiness and peace? Because if it's coming from that illusion, it's going to get shattered at some point, and we can't just keep reaching for the next milestone to fill us up. We have to look critically within and just be honest with ourselves and choose joy today.
I love that you share that experience, because actually it brings me like a new question, if you don't mind. But I would love to know, what would you say that allows us to make a different choice when the old identity is so familiar for us? I mean, what do you think that allows us to make that different choice? How you embrace it in your own journey?
You know what I just thought of? I thought of anger and love. I like once heard that a mother can express love through the emotion of anger when her child is about to cross the street, and she just like briskly, like angrily, like gets them in line and like make sure that they don't get hit by the truck. I realized that what did it for me on Wednesday is I just refused to make the same choice again. I was like, you're not, like, your body is not feeling good. Don't make it feel worse. Let's not ruminate. Let's not force ourselves to be on our phone. let's not perform productivity by continuing with the afternoon plans. I had like a music lesson, which usually brings me joy, but in that moment, I didn't want to do it, and so I canceled it. It was a late cancel. I had to pay for that. I accepted that. I just like treated myself with respect and kindness and no pressure. I was like, you don't need to know how the rest of this day is going to unfold. We can just wander. Like, do you feel like moving right now? No. So I just laid horizontal, and people walked by and they were like no one said anything, but like I got some looks, and I was like, who cares? And then finally when I was ready, I was like, ooh, I kind of want to go for a walk. So I'm just going to leave the gym. Didn't do anything at the gym except lay on the bench. And I went for a walk. I wandered into a deli and spoke with some people there, saw a ribeye, grabbed myself some steak, and I went home and I cooked it, and it was beautiful. I like also went to go see a movie later, and I took care of myself instead of forcing myself to do the thing that my mind told me would be the productive and correct thing to do. I just listened to my body, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna follow what comes. And I feel like those are the magical moments that like actually produce real presence and are just memories that will last a long time. And it's always worth it to choose ourselves over whatever mind story we're telling ourselves is better.
Oh my God, I love that answer, because actually, considering that I'm your coach and I've been like guiding you along this process from almost the past year, I can share with you, audience, that this is one of the things that actually made me so proud of Catherine, because this is what I always said. It doesn't matter if you are a man or a woman, we all have masculine and feminine energy. The feminine energy is the energy that allows you to listen to your emotions and to always make a pause, and before reacting or following the mind, which is the masculine, you just listen to your body and you are true to yourself, and you ask, wait a minute, what do I want to do? And actually, by sharing your experience, actually, you can tell and you can let people know that sometimes it's fine if you want to lay down on the floor. It doesn't matter that, oh, there are a lot of people going around. What are they going to think? These people, they probably think about you like 1 minute. The minute later, they are thinking about themselves again. And this is, for me, this is one of the most powerful shifts I had in my experience, my own journey. Because sometimes we are all the time thinking like, oh my gosh, who this person gonna think about me if I do this, if I do that? And I'm gonna make you a question right now. How many times along your day are you thinking about what other people is doing? Probably not so many times. Most of the time you are thinking about what are you doing, what are you thinking, what is gonna be your next move. It's everything about you. So the same exact thing happened with the rest of the people. So I love that Catherine is sharing, like, I lay down, over there. I didn't care about people who was watching me. I just follow my heart. I just listen to myself, and I allow myself to rest, to release that pressure of performing to somebody else. Who else? Who else? If we are talking about being authentic here in this podcast, if we are talking about being, like a perfect example for you to know that you are not alone. We are all struggling sometimes with the stories that we are telling ourselves. And this podcast is for you to bring awareness on how important it is to listen to yourself and to pay attention to how you feel. Your emotions are energy in motion. It's energy that wants to move inside yourself. And the moment that you are like not listening to them, those emotions that are not able to, flow like freely within yourself are the emotions that then translate into stress, anxiety, depression, because you are not paying attention to them and they are trying to tell you something. So do not ignore your emotions anymore. Try to pay attention, because they are a very beautiful and powerful channel of information for yourself. Okay, actually, after sharing this, I came across this question that I feel like it could be really empowering for all of us. For all the people that is listening to us right now, maybe one of you guys are wondering if you are also acting from your old identity, right? So Catherine, what would you say that it should be a good way to start to pay attention and to become aware that you are acting from your old version and your old identity? And how would you act according to what you have just shared to all of us to make that shift in your reality?
First of all, can we just love the old version of ourselves? Like old Catherine, we love her. She was so sweet and kind and generous. She's also really insecure and anxious, not self-compassionate at all. But she protected me. She helped me succeed. She got me here. I wouldn't be myself if I hadn't been her before. I needed to be her in order to become the version of me that I am now, in order to become the woman that I am becoming. And so all of it was necessary, I believe. But in the moment, it's so easy to be like, ooh, that old identity, cringe. I think in reality, the old identity is I think awareness is the most important thing. So I think the second that we've become conscious that the identity that we're acting as, embodying right now, is not congruent with who we want to be, who we believe our true selves to be, then that gap, we already know that there's something that we've outgrown. So if you guys are now thinking about what your old identity is and what your new identity you'd like to be, I mean, if you can relate, and what I'm reading from a lot of your messages is that being obsessed with peak performance and productivity and optimizing things, like it can get us far in the material world and help us succeed in business, yes. But if it comes at the cost of actually aligning our actions with the identity that we really would like to embody, and we know what actually would bring us fulfillment, we need to take that awareness and start to take action.
Whoa, I feel like that was one of the golden nuggets of this podcast, because I always tell my clients, your story is your offering. And I feel like forgiveness, it's one of the most powerful things that we're gonna embrace along our process, because so many times I heard from people, and even for myself, oh my gosh, I wish I would do this or I would say that. And honestly, as Catherine just shared with us, we need to honor our old version, because we are who we are because of who we been before, right? And we learned all that we learned because we went through all these challenges before. Remember that we are eternal learners. So we're going to keep learning till the last day. And the best way for you to keep growing is to accept that you are always doing the very best you can with the level of consciousness that you have now and in the past. And that forgiveness for yourself will allow yourself to be compassionate, not only with yourself right now, but with the rest of the people that surrounded you. So honoring our story, honoring our old version allows us to become aware that if right now, here, right now, you are doing the very best you can with the level of consciousness that you have, as Catherine mentioned before, earlier in the podcast, you are exactly in the timeline of your best self. Even though maybe you are not there yet, wherever you want to be there, you're going to be there. Trust, enjoy the process, honor yourself, learn from every experience, listen to your gut, listen to your emotions. And first of all, love your light and your shadow, because that is loving yourself to the fullest. And when you love yourself to the fullest, you love every experience that you came, across in life, because you understand that every experience is an opportunity for you to get to know yourself better. So Catherine, thank you so much. I love how the flow of these conversations, I love that you've been able to not only answer your messages, but also bring those conversations into this podcast. Again, if you have any comments, please feel free to comment down there, because we're gonna try to answer and bring all these conversations into the following podcast. And just to close this amazing, amazing episode, what would you say, Catherine? You have something else that you wanna share to your audience?
When we go to do something, we need to ask ourselves, am I doing this to be productive? Am I doing this out of obligation? Am I doing this because I don't want to disappoint someone? Or am I doing it because I genuinely feel excited and it genuinely brings me joy? And I genuinely this is how I would like to spend my time, and I don't know where it's going to lead, but I'm excited to just try this thing and do this thing because it lights me up. It's a very different energy. And often I realize that my body notices how it feels before my mind is ready to admit it. So then noticing if my body feels contracted and tense and tight and heavy and fatigued and irritated and just like this, like, versus it feels expanded and light and exciting and I'm feeling curious. It's a very different, it's like broader versus somehow a lot tenser and contracted. And so noticing when our body is giving us these signals, I think is one of the best ways for us to connect more deeply with ourselves and live a more fulfilling life.
Oh my gosh, Catherine, thank you so much. That was so empowering as always. Thank you, thank you, thank you from the deep of my soul. I think that I'm talking from all the people who is watching us right now. And well, we see you in the next episode. Please feel free to comment, feel free to send your questions, feel free to be part of these living room conversations that we are trying to bring to you so you can realize that you are not alone. And again, our story is your offering, so don't be afraid to share yours, because sometimes with your story you can empower other people out there that it's afraid to comment and they can see themselves reflected on your own story. So feel free to comment down there, and if you haven't doing yet, please click the little subscription here so we can be connected till the next podcast. Have a beautiful week. Thank you, Catherine. I love you.
Thank
I love you with the pit of my soul.
Thank you.
And we see you in the next episode.
See you next episode.